Greetings, wanderers. Today's topic is: why are M4A1s never smuggled? Availability mostly. It's cheap to produce and highly reliable for the price range internationally. It's more widely mass-produced and more widely accessible where there are internal and international conflicts as well. AK-47s in bulk, direct from the factory are what? $25 each? That's the main reason. In the US they start at around $75 to $100 in Louisiana. 1. There are hundreds of millions more Kalashnikovs in circulation than M4s. 2. The countries that produced Kalashnikovs are slightly less scrupulous. 3. The M4 sucks. 4. The Kalashnikov doesn't suck. 5. Russia supported a lot of communist/socialist governments and rebel movements. Why do you say the M4 sucks? I presume if you want one gun it's probably equally difficult. If you want 10,000, it's probably 100x easier to get AK-47s than M4s. Because all you need to make an M4A1 is a switch. You can easily convert a regular AR-15 into an automatic rifle. The switches can be hard to get or make. But AKs are very abundant in the world and are pretty cheap. But bigger bullet. There's also a difference between an M4A1 and a M4 carbine, FYI. A number of reasons. The AK-47 was mass-produced and the USSR did distribute military aid to countries i.e. China, North Vietnam, Cuba. During the Cold War the Soviet Union built military stockpiles across the USSR. When the USSR collapsed these countries became unexpectedly independent and as a result there was a lot of chaos as various business interests, legal and illegal, moved in to acquire and distribute the infrastructure that remained. This included the military stockpiles which were purchased by governments, weapons dealers, organized crime, etc. Being the main gun used by the USSR meant many millions of AK-47s and ammunition. Ubiquity of ammunition for it around the world is also a big factor. When providing military aid to countries with historic connections to the USSR, i.e. Afghanistan, Western countries have been known to buy surplus Soviet equipment to supply because it'll be easier for the forces in that country to use and maintain versus AM4. No one mentioned that like half of the world produce Kalashnikovs. Russia is not flying around and airdropping AK-47s to every dude in the world the moment he decides to start a rebellion. Kalashnikovs are easy to obtain and cheaper than Western weapons and do their job. After the fall of the Soviet Union even American companies got the rights to build Kalashnikovs. Russia is not flying around and airdropping AK-47s to every dude in the world the moment he decides to start a rebellion. That was absolutely part of the USSR's foreign policy playbook throughout the 50s and 60s. Because if you dig deep enough into the ground you'll find the perfect Kalash. I found 6 digging in the field yesterday. I can make a few bob exporting them to Gaza. They are https://www.npr.org/2021/08/07/1025636092/Mexico-lawsuit-United-States-gun-companies-analysis. There's way more Kalashnikovs in the world than M4s, they're easier to get, they're cheaper to make, and if your organization is already using the AK, then you're more likely to want more AKs instead of another weapon with a different caliber requiring different ammo. AKs, unlike M4, were designed for ease of production and rugged use. America by contrast cares for its GIs and make their weapons functional and with more gizmos as America has a higher tech level. The obvious one is that there are a lot more AK and derivatives in the world. Not only was it cheap to produce in its homeland, copies are made across the world. These guns don't just disappear, whether it's from Eastern Europe or China or anywhere in between. You can get one easier and cheaper than an American or European rifle. Otherwise, a big contributing factor is that arms are far more controlled in Western countries. It's easier for AK producers to write off malfunctioning rifles and parts as losses for disposal, and they end up on the black market. In many ways, that's how you're supposed to do things in Russia. hence the issues with Russian military equipment in the current Ukraine conflict. You make some quick vodka money by selling off legit items and replacing them with duds. In contrast, every item in the inventory for an American, and most Western developed nations, factory or military facility is accounted for. Everything. Rifles are registered and stowed securely. Ammunition is counted. If one grenade is missing, the whole base goes into lockdown and every person on site goes searching for the missing items, otherwise people start losing their jobs. If inventory needs to be disposed of, it is documented and signed off. It's very hard for corporal citizen to lose a box of M4S from the back of a truck. Meanwhile, in a market in Somalia, not only have they accumulated decades of missing AKS, they also have the missing trucks. Fall of the Soviet Union. A lot of really huge stockpiles wound up the personal property of some oligarch or mid-level bureaucrat overnight. If you want to buy 400 minutes and 4 seconds, and you aren't in a position where you can arrange arms export legally, you'd need 400 straw buyers, someone to smuggle the weapons out of the US, someone to modify each weapon for select fire, and then you need to more or less repeat that for all spare parts and ammo. But if you want 400 AKS, you just need to know a guy who found 5 million of them packed in Cosmoline with parts and ammunition behind his sofa from when the Soviet Union collapsed. And there are a lot of those guys. Anecdotally, it's also partially brand loyalty. There are a lot of systems that are effectively impossible to source Western variants of. Sadly, the civilian market for 155mm shells is yet to really take off. So the only guys selling those kinds of systems are going to be people reselling old Soviet stockpiles. So if you need to source anti-tank rockets or artillery shells for IDs, your only option is to buy from guys selling on Soviet stockpiles, who are also going to have a lot of AKS floating around. Shipping costs are a significant part of the sticker price in the arms market, especially when illegal, so it pays to get all your kit in the same order. The Soviet Union produced enough weapons to fight the whole world twice. Those stockpiles will outlast humanity.